Ooh.
Hi, and welcome to the latest episode of NFTV. I'm here today with Molly Soda, one of the artists in Pieces of Me, Transfer Gallery's online exhibition that's exploring the dynamics of the changing NFT marketplace. Hey, Molly, how are you this morning?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Yeah, really good. Thanks for being here. Molly's piece, My Candle Collection, is an amazing work that shows Molly in her natural habitat on YouTube, showing off items from her collection, almost like an unboxing or a haul video. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about, the piece and why you made it.
Yeah, so it's actually sort of a continuation of a piece I made in 2020, early 2020, and I'm gonna pull up the title because it's really long. But the piece is called "It Just Smells Like You're," like literally like you're sitting on the beach drinking a margarita and you're loving your life and you're super rich and like you own a yacht. And the piece is basically kind of like a fake candle display, similar to how you would like happen upon a candle display at kind of like a discount store like TJ Maxx or Home Goods or Marshalls. So, I'm obsessed with going to these stores, and pre-pandemic, I would go all the time and like just sit there and smell candles. And then there would always be like other people like next to me smelling candles. And it was like this kind of weird like ritual that everyone would do at like the TJ Maxx or whatever. But I was really interested in making my own candle display and inviting people to come and like touch the candles, handle them, smell them, and whatever, because I was interested in kind of like that sort of activity, but also thinking about kind of scents and how they are so personal to people and so unique to people, and also very, very tied with memory. And also thinking about how scents are also very tied to luxury and kind of aspirational. Like there's something aspirational about a scent, even like the title of that piece is sort of like a very aspirational thing to say. Like scents conjure up kind of a mood or a feeling that maybe you can't afford necessarily. And so when I came up with this piece, I was actually watching a lot of sort of candle haul, candle collection, candle YouTube, and I was really fixated on the fact that people were describing candle, like showing something, like hauling things on YouTube can be pretty straightforward because usually you can like see it and understand it, and like it's makeup or it's clothing or it's a toy or whatever. But I was really interested in the idea of like people showing off things that you cannot know what it smells like because you cannot share scent through a screen. And so you're really going off of all of these people's descriptions. And so basically, I made this physical piece. Obviously, the pandemic happened and it was locked away, and all of these candles came to live in my house. And then I wanted to find a way to kind of share that piece in a new way, which actually ended up going back to kind of my original inspiration, which was the YouTube like candle culture. And so that's why I made this candle video to kind of almost like wrap up the piece.
No, it's really clever, and I love the engagement with the candle community and the scent community, which is a very strong and vibrant community. I know I've been watching some folks who are really into scents on TikTok, and it is a really kind of dissociated experience where they're spraying this thing and they're trying to convey this whole like sensory moment, and you're kind of just sitting there, well, it just smells like my bedroom.
Yeah.
So I love, it's also, but it's also really fascinating to watch you in this piece, really describe each scent and showcase what it means to you. And it feels so deeply personal in that way. I'm wondering, do you have, like, of all of your collection, what's your favorite candle?
My favorite candle. I think I like the candle work from home. So and it's really funny because I obviously also like made these candles before we were working from home, when like it was aspirational to work from home. And so with the candles, I made all the candles myself. And so I was really thinking about kind of making like the traditional scented candles, like things that smell like flowers or like fire or I don't know, like cookies or whatever. And then I was also thinking of ones that kind of would try and smell like the reality of the situation versus the idea of the situation. Like I think about like ocean candles a lot, and ocean candles really don't smell like the ocean. They smell like some sort of perfume, because if you smell the ocean, it smells like salt and like fish, and like, you know, it's not always the most pleasant, actually pleasant smell. And so the work from home candle, I wanted it to kind of smell like, you know, the reality of perhaps what it is like to work from home. So I mixed it, it's like I mixed like a Febreze scent with like a tuna scent to kind of make it smell like there's like a, you know, like maybe you live with cats and like there's like a dirty like litter box like kind of lingering in your room, or like yeah, kind of like the pet smell, the like trying to cover up kind of like a sour smell. That's probably my favorite. I mean, would I burn it? No, but I like that candle a lot.
No, I think that's really clever to, be creating these kind of real life situations and, also really playfully, pokes fun at, brands like, Mysol and Margiela and like the replica moment memory,
Mm-hmm.
sense, which are, kind of, which are kind of elaborate and ridiculous and so specific. And no, but that's amazing. And I love also the way that like this work extends into physical reality. I'm a huge TJ Maxx fan. I'm total Maxxinista. And so that, that ritual that you described of being in the store and smelling candles with other people was like one of the things that I miss the most about quarantine. It was just one of those like really mundane, like suburban activities that like you just couldn't access. And so this, I think that this piece really spoke to me and was really comforting in that way. And we're going to be doing a really special auction for this piece to kind of get some into offer up some parts from the video, which is also for sale, and we're going to be hosting a candle auction in the over the summer, and so I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about why this kind of what a candle auction is, and why this format kind of is relevant for this project and this moment.
Yeah, so I actually just learned about candle auctions after I made this piece, and I'm gonna just like double check when these were happening. Okay, 17th and 18th centuries. So basically, a candle auction is a type of auction that was somewhat popular in England in the 17th and 18th centuries, and the idea was that you would light a candle at the beginning of the auction, and the auction wouldn't end until the candle blew out, or went out naturally. And so I think we were kind of talking about working with, because we're sort of in this NFT universe now and everything is very, very auction based, and so I wanted to do something playful with sort of that auction model, and something just like a bit silly. So I thought doing like lighting so the idea is that we're going to do a candle auction, and I'll be lighting one of these candles from my collection and live streaming that auction. So however long it takes for that candle to go out naturally is when the auction will be over. And then I think the idea is that we'll have people tweet, or we'll find some way to have people message me their bids, and then kind of whoever's the last person before the candle blows out will be able to get the piece, and they'll also get a candle with the piece as well, and of their choosing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think that it's just really nice to see like a personal touch to this kind of like anonymous, bitter, kind of
Mhm.
universe where works are just zooming and flying around. And I think that this adds like a certain kind of slowness and like time specificity, and intentionality to this kind of way of transacting, which is
Mhm.
like one of the goals of the whole show, which is really like, you know, how do we transact with intention in this new environment, and I don't know, it's an exciting way for people to be involved as well. And so, if so something that we've been talking about is, which candle will be auctioned off. And so if you guys want to go and watch the video and email or an email director at Transfer Gallery or DM us what your favorite candle is, that could have some input into what is potentially auctioned maybe. So definitely, if you're really passionate about one of these candles. Kind of connecting back to like this moment and what the phenomenon of the NFT marketplace. This piece feels really different than, some of the really like very specific, very trading card-esque, shiny renders that have really been dominating this marketplace. And you as an artist have, of course, been posting your work online, on YouTube, on Tumblr, on LiveJournal, on, on basically any social media platform that the audience can imagine, for largely for free. And I'm wondering, as someone who is, a real OG in this domain, how do you feel about these shifting dynamics and this new way of selling and operating? Is this something that like you think could really enable your career, or how are you kind of grappling with this kind of accelerated moment?
Yeah, it's been like a weird time for me personally. I think because it's been a weird year for digital art the last year. But I think my initial excitement about NFTs was, oh, it's gonna make what I've already been doing, I've already been selling digital work, more palatable to a bigger audience, and that's gonna be really great. And I don't really feel like that is actually what has happened. I think that people are really interested in the NFT and sort of the technology behind the NFT, but it all needs to be housed within this like NFT framework where like anyone can go buy a digital, like if you want to support digital artists, like there are other ways to do it. And so for me, I was like, actually the NFT like sort of universe, like me needing to rely on one of these platforms, for example, like one of these major NFT platforms, which are basically acting kind of as a gallery anyway, are like, it just, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like that different than like what's already been happening. And it hasn't really, I think that if I haven't sold any NFTs at all. And I've been sort of like waiting quietly on the sidelines, kind of like watching everything um go down. And maybe that's because I don't know, there's a lot of I have a lot of complicated feelings about it, because I'm also like, I don't feel like it's super transparent about like who buys your work, and I feel like I want the people that own my work to be really intentional with it, and I want them to preserve it. Like I want to entrust them to care for it for a long time. And so I just want to know sort of the longevity of my work like on these platforms. And also I don't really think I make work that necessarily like fits kind of the vibe of what is selling on NFT platforms. So my hope is that, you know, this this thing does make it more palatable, but I don't think that we need to necessarily be buying digital art in, Ethereum or in crypto. Like I think there have been ways to sell and transfer digital art and support digital artists. And to me, this doesn't actually feel like the answer. It just feels like a replica of kind of a pre-existing model that's based on scarcity. And what excites me about making the work that I make is that it isn't scarce. It's infinitely replicable, and I love that about it. So when someone's buying my work, it's not because they're buying the only one. it's because they support me and they care about my work, and they want to like have some hand in, you know, supporting me and preserving that work.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, that's really, I think that's really the key message, right? Is that there's not one way, there's not one protocol, one size fits all. And we need to think about different ways of supporting artists that, maybe break out of this kind of really, what feels like a really rigid and very one track kind of system. And so I'm wondering what kind of future or marketplace would, do you imagine that would be the most beneficial to you and to your practice? Like how can we create this new kind of future?
Yeah, I think just having more opportunities for artists to make money outside of like selling their work. You know, I think paying artists to, you know, even just show their work in a group show, which doesn't really happen here much in the United States. Like pay screening fees, pay for work in group shows, pay like even the model that we're doing with this show, like splitting, like using 30% of sales to like split evenly amongst everyone else. Like I think there are a lot of new ways or just like different ways to work within that, or commissioning artists. Like it's crazy. I just saw that like who knows what is building an NFT, you know, museum tower in like Midtown or whatever. And I'm like, think about all the money that is spent on like construction of these like weird hypey buildings, when like all that money could be going to like commission artists to like make, or like grants or whatever. And like, and thinking about artist grants and things like opportunities like that, like those are so competitive because there's, you know, there's so few opportunities for artists to make money. And so either you make work that will sell or that you think will sell. And in the digital art world, it's so interesting. Like, you know, I've always, as a digital artist, I've always been like, my work doesn't sell, like it barely sells, like I don't care. And, you know, and thinking about how like painters are very successful, traditionally speaking, in selling their work. And then now the NFT world has opened up, and I'm like, oh, now it's like 3D render, like 3D renders are the new painting, because that's what's like the most successful or sells the most on these platforms. So like, it still feels like there's no space for like a lot of these artists that are like kind of just in between, or not really the perfect definition of like a mainstream view of digital art or traditional art or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess, I know that a lot of your work is really driven towards a younger audience as well, and you really connect with, the kind of like the idea of growing up and growing pains, and coming of age. And so I'm wondering, what, as marketplaces change, as acceleration in technology kind of takes over, and continues to grow at a rapid pace, what advice would you give to a young artist to stay true to themselves amidst it all?
Yeah, I mean, I think the advice that I would have is to talk to other artists, because I think that when I was young, I don't know, it's just good to have an open dialogue with other people and to be super transparent about like how working with it. Like I think that young artists are just often being taken advantage of because they're eager. You know, I think about so many things that I said yes to when I was younger because I was eager to have my name out there, you know, get people looking at my work or whatever, and how in a lot of ways I regret like some of those decisions that I made. And so I think just like really sitting down and thinking about like, what does success mean to you? What are your goals as an artist? And like, why are those your goals? Like, what does it mean for you to achieve these things? Is it because it like looks good optically? Like, is it financial security? I don't know, like internet popularity, like I don't know, but like just thinking about like what is meaningful to you and trying to stick by that. And it's really hard because like it does feel sometimes like, sometimes I feel like I'm like, I could just like, I should just like do whatever I want and like sell, hop on these trends or whatever and like sell a bunch of stuff if I can. But it's also good to just like wait things out and like see, there's no rush. Just like keep doing what you're doing, have a community, build your relationships, talk with each other about, things that people don't want you to talk about. And yeah, I think that's the best advice I could give.
No, that's really good advice. And, I think that idea of not rushing and of being really intentional with, your choices and what you do is really important. And, really connects to a lot of, what we were thinking about at Transfer in curating and putting together this show. Well, Molly, thank you so much for being here with us today. And thank you so much for being a part of the show. It's a real treat to get to work with you after, being a huge fan and supporter of the work for all these years. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been a real pleasure. My first NFT with Transfer and ever.
Yeah, ever. So guys, get in on this Genesis on the ground floor while you can to, to use the lingo. And stay tuned for our upcoming candle auction, which we'll be announcing on social media. Cool. Well, I'll see you later, Molly.
Bye.